Okay, raise your hand if the moment you saw the new design for Optimus Prime in Combiner Wars, you laughed at it and then took to the message boards to preach to the choir how dumb it looked. Okay, now keep your hand raised if you thought a white Optimus that wasn't Ultra Magnus and a blackjack repaint into Rodimus were completely unnecessary. Right, now keep your hand raised if you still think that. If you still got your hand raised, then you are basically me a few weeks ago before I saw this on shelves and, in the spur of the moment, bought myself a Battle Core Optimus Prime and a Rodimus Prime. After they were out of the box, however, the awesomeness sunk in. Well, at least in Prime's case anyway. Rodimus not so much. So, let's dive in. I've never actually seen a truck like this in real life before, but it looks pretty convincing. The mold certainly looks dumb on camera, but in hand he's a no-nonsense beefcake. Despite being in white, and being more of a Tonka beefcake than a super realistic collector pleaser, he carries a serious energy around him. One really commendable thing is that he manages to pull off looking cool despite having a boring colour scheme consisting of white, grey, gold, grey, blue windows and grey. Rather than being a snooze fest, he just comes off as being old-fashioned. It probably helps that this mode borrows heavily from Thunderclash, one of the 4 characters this takes inspiration from, 3 of which are all available as repro labels upgrades. The lack of underkibble looks pretty cool too, and the weapons storage doesn't look too shabby either. That said, there are some cons for this. For starters, the Windows section sucks. Plain and simple. I understand that these grey bits are unpaintable plastic, but these sides aren't, and also the back section is really weak. It lacks tons of integral detail. The combiner chest is clearly visible, and the hollow feet are a real eyesore. Still, these cons don't detract from the figure nearly as much as you'd think. It's still a damn good truck either way. Rodimus Prime looks, well, a lot like a blackjack that was repainted into Rodimus Prime. Now, some repaints make sense, such as the Autobot limbs and Retgar, but this one just doesn't. Rodimus is supposed to be a sleek, sexy space car, and this seems more like a rally racer that relies more on maneuverability than speed. The back section doesn't really help much, seeming more like a top-mounted cannon than a conventional spoiler. That being said, this mode doesn't look too bad. The paint's nice, and I especially like how all the windows are painted. Too often figures in this scale, and even some deluxes, leave out some paint on the windows, so it's nice. The flames at the front are okay too, if a little plain. And, like Optimus, he lacks underkibble. There's not much to say about him, because there's not as much going on here. He's adequate, and nothing more. Still, at least this mold fits him better than the original Legends toy that was designed specifically to be Rodimus. Seriously, I'm not seeing that in him. For a size comparison, these two are really out of scale. Optimus is huge in comparison to other Voyagers. Blocky does mean bigger, I guess. I'll show Rodimus' transformation first, because it's quicker. He's got a nice solid departure from most Legends, Scouts, and Legion figures, with a cool fold-over torso that ends up pretty well proportioned in robot mode. His wheels at the front fold away pretty well too, so that's cool. Optimus Prime's transformation, on the other hand, feels really underdone. He feels like a giant deluxe, and converting him takes way too short a time for a Voyager. I do like the inspiration it takes though, borrowing from Thunderclash and Powermaster Optimus Prime in the way it deals with its windscreens. The mold does cheat a bit with the chest though, which annoys me. Despite its simplicity though, I can forgive this transformation. It's solid, unlike the recently reviewed Springer, and it wears its simplicity well, and it gets away with it because it's a Gestalt. Overcomplicating combiners makes for a larger parts count which leads to a heavier figure and plays hell with posability, so in this case the sins are pardoned. Besides, the head reveal is awesome. Taking its 3rd and 4th inspiration, Battle Core Optimus Prime is supposed to evoke both Ultra Magnus in his colour scheme and Nova Prime in his head sculpt. Speaking of which, that head sculpt! The increased size on this one fixes a lot of the proportional problems that were present on the original Optimus Prime release, and segueing into the proportions, they aren't half bad. Sure, they are a little flat and a lot beefy, but the well-placed combiner kibble at the back makes for a good backpack that mostly rectifies this. Colour-wise, this figure looks just as good as he did in truck mode, wearing grey pants, a predominantly gold and blue torso, and white sleeves. Those Autobot stickers though, they're misaligned as hell. Unacceptable! In terms of articulation, his head is on a ball joint, his shoulders rotate 360 degrees, and his arms ratchet out. Ouch! Those ratchets are painful! They're even worse when I opened it up, but after some use they've loosened and have only become 90% agonizing. He has a bicep swivel and a 90-degree elbow bend that looks weird if you leave it straight. He also does the shockwave thing where he's got a double joint backwards, but the transformation's a little different on this guy, so I can let it slide. He's got no wrist movement, but he does have a waist swivel. Yay! His legs ratchet out, although they barely have any clicks. Thankfully they aren't too tight like Optimus or too loose like Menasor, and they're detented in the right places. Still, I think a purchase from non-F is in order. Finally, he has a thigh swivel and a 90-degree knee bend. For a Voyager, he has way too little articulation. For a combiner though, he's got just enough. Give him a break, he's got a whole third mode to accomplish. Rodimus Prime looks just as shoehorned as he did in car mode. Like I said earlier, he's not bad, but this redeco seems really weird. Surely there are other choices, right? The legs are pretty good, looking hefty, but these arms are just way too long. The upper arms are okay with some smart wheel storage, but these lower sleeves are functional, but just not Rodimus. Furthermore, his chest is all wrong. He's a redeco. I get it, but this is so inadequate. The limb botch being reused is okay, but this is Rodimus. He deserves better than this and an overpriced platinum release. Oh, and to top it off, he looks absolutely terrible from the side. Sorry, but the original Legends Rodimus Prime has you beat here. Okay, that's not Rodimus, but you see the point. You may think his head is on a ball joint, but it's actually just on a peg. Dun dun dun! Why? His shoulders are on ball joints though, and they move in a little. He has a bicep swivel, a 90-degree knee bend, ball jointed hips, and ball jointed knees. Once again, standard for Legends. Oh, and one quick thing, he can hold his spoiler. It looks stupid. For size comparison, Optimus and Rodimus are completely out of scale. Also, you can see how big Optimus is in comparison, as his blocky nature allows for more plastic coverage and a smaller parts count. Optimus's conversion to torso mode is one of the key things that makes all the issues in either mode forgivable. All the simplicities and nitpicks move aside to make way for the ultimate. Oh my god, this thing is hideous! But where did it go all wrong? This is a mess, an utter mess. Where do I even begin? This is all wrong, just wrong. Okay, the head sculpt is a complete joke, borrowing from the 5th figure I forgot about, Star Convoy. I really don't like this, although it's become less of an eyesore in the weeks as they pass. I'm not sure if I'm warming up to it or just becoming desensitized. The windows on the shoulders play hell with the color scheme, and the chest is just a plain mess, and everything from the waist down is a complete joke. I can see why he's called Cowboy Hips now. So you may be thinking this figure is a piece of trash and I'm going to write off this mode as a complete waste of time. Wrong! This is where Rodimus comes in. After opening up the chest to reveal a matrix of grey plastic, you can peg in both Rodimus and his silly little gun to improve this figure. After you're done, Optimus Prime is halfway there. His chest looks worthy of being classified a combiner, and the red and orange brings so much life to the torso as a whole. Still, I did say Optimus was only halfway there, because the lower section is still doing f*** all to this figure. That's where the perfect effect comes in, with their upgrade kit to make this figure into perfection. Puns. I think I'm going to buy this, because the other modes are just weighed down by this section. You can see how it's going to work by fan moding, and it almost looks better. It's so close. Just this, and I'm there. These two are an odd bunch. Optimus Prime has an awesome vehicle and robot mode that look pretty bad on camera, but in your hand they just explode into awesome sauce that cannot be denied from your collection. But that stupid combine mode needs a Legends accessory and a third-party upgrade just to make it good enough, and that is a serious sin. I can only give him 3 stars at the moment. Bring on the upgrades, then we can talk. Rodimus, on the other hand, is reduced to a bloody accessory for a figure most people won't even buy. Pretty much all he can do is make another figure better, and not being a satisfying standalone figure just makes me mad. He's not bad, but he's just boring. Sorry, but a 2-star rating is all he gets, and the rest of the world seems to agree, or at least Sydney does as he's shelf warming like hell at the moment. Well, do you have a Battle Core Optimus Prime and want to use him as a combiner? Then yes, you absolutely need him. But if you're planning on leaving out the combination fun or just skipping on the figure entirely, then he has no place in your collection. Next time. Wait, where's the light piping? Oh, there is none? I take it all back. 0 out of 5, get the f*** out of here. Next time, we dive into Bionicle to discuss a neat 2-pack while I wait for the new sets to arrive. They're way overdue, so I hope we get them soon.